maybe click it. There we go. So we're going to Land and Wave. This is our 5th year. However, there was a few years due to COVID that we didn't go. But I think this is my 4th time going, and it really is absolutely fantastic. All the activities are set within the natural landscape, so we get to look in the wild woodlands, we go on the sandy beaches, and this year we will be going to the limestone cliffs because we have coast-steering included in our timetable this year, which is very exciting. Land and Wave only use really experienced staff, and it was set up with a bunch of university students many, many moons ago, and they are exceptionally passionate about what they do and the provision that they deliver. All of the staff are highly experienced, and the activities that they lead are hobbies and are things that they have been learning and perfecting over many, many years and are very highly qualified. Like I said, Land and Wave is run by family and friends, and they really genuinely care about us as clients. We're certainly not a number. They communicate with us all year. They send us brownies in the post, and do lots of other quirky and special things to make us feel like really valued customers. And that also is echoed through the communication that we have. And they're really understanding in terms of any special provision that needs to be put in place for children, and to make sure that it really is a holiday.
I would vouch that if we could get the staff that work at Land and Wave to come and work at our school, we would. They are unbelievable.
They are that good. So we're at 2 different places. Now, we sleep at Purbeck Valley Farm, which is a huge field, which is manned by a night manager every night. And the children certainly are safe there. And then via minibus, we go down to Swanage Beach, where activities like paddleboarding, sea kayaking and raft building take place. And then if coast-steering was in our timetable, which this year it is, we also head across to the Jurassic Coast as well. So they get to really see Dorset as well as just where we're staying, which is really nice. So here's some map locations. So we're really close to Corfe Castle. So our campsite actually overlooks Corfe Castle. So in the evenings, when it is our leisure time and they're playing rounders or football or rugby or whatever else they play in the big field, you can actually see the sunset go down behind Corfe Castle, which really is a spectacular photo. So if they're thinking of bringing along a disposable camera, it's certainly a photo that we will encourage them to capture. And then on the other one, it's just to show you that we really are on the coast. So Swanage Seafront is where we spend a lot of our time, especially we have beach days. And then, like I said before, Jurassic Coast is where we do our coast-steering. So Purbeck Valley Farm, so the children sleep in big teepees, and they are pretty cool and pretty big, which means that they've got plenty of space. They sleep with up to 5 other children. Obviously, the tents are same-sex only. And they are, the only thing that they are providing in terms of sleeping and living accommodation is almost like a thick yoga mat, which they can sleep on just to keep them comfy, but they do need to bring a sleeping bag and a pillow with them. And I urge you, and I will keep on saying this throughout the presentation, that the sleeping bag needs to be of a high standard in terms of warmth. It's certainly not a sleepover sleeping bag, it's a proper camping sleeping bag, and I feel that's really important. So it is private, like I mentioned earlier. It's an enclosed farm that's supervised by Land and Wave duty managers all night. And there's often instructors still coming around, checking we're okay, especially our group leader. Every school is assigned a group leader, and that instructor always checks in on us, gets to know the children exceptionally well, and really is part of our holiday. It is a shared
oh,
go on.
Sorry. In terms of the tents, we normally have 2 rows of tents that are very close together, and what we do is we strategically put adults at location, like our tent might be, my tent might be in the middle of a row, and Miss Curtin's, Mrs. Ailing might be at the end, but we really explain to the children, this is our tent, if you need us in the day or night, this is where we are, so they always know they can find us.
Yeah, and the teacher tents often have flags as well on them, so the children can find us easily. So it is a shared site, so there are other school groups, but obviously everyone on the site is DBS checked, and we pretty much have our own area, like Mrs. Coleman mentioned, where we have our own portaloos, which are close to our tents for night time, but then we are also given a separate set of almost like log cabin showers and a set of toilets as well, which are for our school. So as much as they can, they give us our own areas, but they will come into contact with other people at different schools, and that's just good for socializing and generally for making friends. Our breakfast and evening meals are eaten at Purbeck Valley Farm, and normally our breakfast, if we all get there and flutter our eyelashes, normally is around 7:30, 8 o'clock, which is a really nice time. I was once greeted with a 6 a.m. and I said, oh, no. So we normally get a really good breakfast slot, being a long-standing customer, and then our evening meals are also eaten here in a big mess tent, and they're normally around 6:30. So once our afternoon activities finish at 4:30, depending on location, we go back to Purbeck Valley Farm. They've got time for some downtime to relax in their tents, have a shower, play outside, and then we go down for our evening meal. Evening activities take place here as well, unless we're going crabbing, which we are. We go every year and it is fantastic. We go back down to the seafront, we get fish and chips, we ward off the seagulls, and then we all have fish and chips and go crabbing. And it really is probably one of the highlights of the evenings. They've loved doing that in the previous years. But the evening activities are only a short walk to the bushcraft area. Sometimes we're having a campfire this year as well, where we'll sing songs and have potentially s'mores, or at least we will be having marshmallows over the fire. And it's just a really nice sort of inclusive time that we can all just enjoy each other's company. So accommodation. Now you can see here from the pictures, the tents are really spacious and they are really, really cool. And I don't think there's something that they would have stayed in before. So that always ups the excitement when we arrive. They are pre-pitched, thank goodness. And we don't have to take them down, thank goodness. So that's always welcome, because I don't know, I just don't think we would be able to do it. So they're really, really spacious. The children, there's normally a pole down the middle and the children sort of fan out in a star shape, and depending on how close they are and whether they're boys or girls, they'll either sleep head end or feet end, and they make it their own little house, and they're very, very sweet. We've had children bring little tiny battery powered fairy lights before, and they have like a welcome area, and when we have tent inspections, you know, they have like where we have to take our shoes off and they guide, and I mean, it really is very sweet that they make it very much their own. There are hot showers and toilet blocks, like I mentioned earlier, and then when we go down to the beach, we normally get kitted up either at Purbeck Valley Farm, or they take us to a local rugby area, a rugby club, where we can get changed inside. So there's lots of private changing areas for wet kit, and there's also a washing line, which sometimes we have to do a small tutorial on how to use a peg. But if you've got some pegs and you would like to send them with a small amount, just so they can hang up their towels or any wet clothes or trainers, that would be really helpful. We're praying for sunshine, so the washing line, I hope, will be used. And again, here we've put it in big, bold, black and white letters. Children do need a sleeping bag, and we will be asking you this on check-in on the Monday morning. There'll be a set of key questions that we need to make sure the children have, and one of those questions will be a sleeping bag and pillow. If there are any issues with sleeping bags and pillows, please let us know beforehand and we can see if we can help. But they are absolutely integral to their comfort in the evenings, because it can get chilly. Even though we're going in June, the evenings can get very chilly. So the activities, we have got a fantastic timetable this year. We are doing everything that I enjoy doing, and I've gone back and I've given them some feedback, and this is probably the best year, I'd say. We're doing raft building, which you can see the children have built in the picture with the big barrels, and they see if their raft will stay afloat. 9 times out of 10 they do, but it is quite funny when they don't. We are doing kayaking, which is the top right picture. We're not doing rock climbing, which is the central picture this year. However, we are doing coasteering, which is the bottom left picture, which is really, really fun. And it's certainly probably, I'd say, the most adrenaline rush of the activities. And then we also are having a whole day in the woodland, which is amazing. The sort of structures they have there for us to sit under, and the campfires and all of the foraging and the fire making, and we do archery and we make nettle tea, and they just absolutely love it. We play hide and seek, you know, just real original old school, go back and just enjoying the outdoors. We do bushcraft, which is another fantastic one. And I think, we do slip and slide, which is basically put a huge blow up tarpaulin down not a steep hill, just a small incline, cover it in washing up liquid. They've got wetsuits on, and they basically slide down on their tummies on lilos, which is always a favourite. But the fun is just endless. I couldn't remember all of it if I tried, but we've got a really, really good timetable this year. And I know they'll all be, fingers crossed, exhausted by 9 p.m. when we get back from our morning, afternoon and evening activities.
We know for a fact that when we go Monday, Monday, they stay up late. We know that as teachers on residential, they will stay up late. Tuesday, they're exhausted, absolutely exhausted. And we have to hold them and try and get them to bedtime because they want to go. And then the rest of the week peters out. We know it works like that, and we're braced for it, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's like the bus there. They're all singing, you know, songs and whatnot. And then on the bus on the way back, they're all absolutely KO'd as zombies fast asleep, and there's silence. So that'll give you an idea of how busy they're going to be. So meals. Now, I do like my food. All of us teachers that are going are very food orientated. And I have to say, of all the residentials I've done in my teaching career, this is the best for food. It's all organic. It's all homemade. It's all very much catered for children to make sure they've got full bellies, bearing in mind they're doing so much physical exercise. So we dine in the big marquee on camp, where we have our breakfast and our dinner. It's all home cooked food, like I mentioned. There are hot and cold breakfasts, and the chefs, of my experience so far, have never ever and we would never let a child go hungry. If there is nothing they like, then the chef will help and find something that they will eat. You know, no one will ever go to bed or go out on a day trip without something that they enjoy. And they're really, really good at that, which takes me back to the fact that it's a really personal service that they offer. The lunches we take with us, because obviously some of us are off camp and some of us are on camp, but we take them with us, and they get a nice big baguette sandwich, and like a good size. They get a bag of crisps, they get fruit, and they get a homemade absolute wedge of cake or flapjack or Rocky Road or whatever the chef has baked the night before. It certainly keeps you full, and I don't feel that they scrimp on the food. You know, the portion sizes are very good, and if you're the last one in if you're the last sitting in the evening, they'll let you go back and get some more. And they always have a salad bar. For breakfast, they always have cereal and fruit, and then they obviously have a hot option, which could be a bacon sandwich or a vegetarian option. We've had croissants and pain au chocolat. We've had pancakes with syrup. They're really, really tasty. And then the daily packed lunch, which I've explained. The children do need to bring a water bottle, and they will need a packed lunch for the first day. But their water bottle will be integral to keep them hydrated throughout the week. So that will be refilled constantly. So it's important they have a decent sized one, because we do a lot of walking. So it's that balance between having enough water before we have to refill again, but not having like a 2-litre bottle where it's weighing them down when we're walking, you know, across the hills or wherever we get up to. And the company is called Crab Apple Catering Company, if you wanted to look it up. So sample itinerary, and this is kind of just to set out, so you kind of got an idea as to what their day will look like. We will be waking them, depending on breakfast again, but I will do my best, around 7 o'clock, where we will be dressed and booted and ready to start going wakey, wakey, till we get some grumpy faces, but they soon get the swing of it and the new routine. So they'll be up around 7. We don't often do showers in the morning. We do them in the evening just because the morning can be a bit of a rush. But the first activity starts at 9 o'clock. So breakfast will be eaten, bags will be packed, sun cream will be put on, fingers crossed, please, sun cream, not raincoats. Sun hats will be worn. And we do our first activity at 9 o'clock. That finishes at around 12:30, and we eat our lunch at 1, between 12:30 and 1. And then we do our afternoon activity, which could be at the same location, but it could be somewhere else, from 1 until 4:30. And then we head back to camp, where we'll have, like I said earlier, some downtime. And then the evening activity starts at 7 till 9 o'clock. And then it's normally back to tent, start to calm down. And we normally say lights out around 10 o'clock. But like Mrs. Coleman said, on that Monday, it's not always quite 10 o'clock. And the same goes for the rest of the week. You know, you can see the timings stay the same. It's just the activities that will swap and change. But in terms of weather, we are outside the whole time, other than when we're in our tents. We are camping, and sun cream, when you're in the sea all day. The first year I went, I have very fair skin, and I burn really, really easily. And I got really badly burnt the first year I went. And I also got windburn, which meant my ears swelled and my lips. So trying to lead a group of 60 children where you can hardly move your lips was not the easiest thing. And I'm sure gives some people a giggle. But I urge you, regardless of your child, please use Factor 50 waterproof sun cream. We will watch them put it on. We make sure we all go in lines. We make sure that every child applies it. We don't like to share creams because obviously some children have skin allergies and things like that. So it's integral that you make sure your child has a factor 50 and that they have a sun hat. I'd say that's really, really, really important. And obviously a raincoat if we get the other end of the spectrum in terms of weather. But yeah,
I'm sure you'll get this in a minute, Miss Curtin, but I would label every bottle of cream, like if sun cream, label their clothes, label their sun cream as well, just because they will be everywhere. We'll be like, here's yours, here's yours, here's yours. So label everything.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, label. So arrangements. So we are going to travel by coach. It normally takes about 2.5 to 3 hours. However, we do stop halfway through at some services. They can stretch their legs, go to the toilet, eat a small snack if they want to off the coach, and generally just sort of get a bit of fresh air. There are 5 adults going this year. It is myself, Mrs. Ayling, Mrs. Coleman, Mrs. O'Sullivan, and Mrs. Forbes, all of which work in year 6, and obviously Mrs. Coleman works everywhere. And then we have a kit list, which we have provided in the parent pack, and I have got it on the next slide just to go through and say the really integral parts of that kit list, that if you don't have, I would urge you to come and speak to us, because it's really important that they do have it. And it's a bit of a boo-boo subject, and I'm sure if any of the children of year 6 are listening, they're going to be like, oh, how am I going to survive? But there are no electronic games, there are no electronic cameras, and there are definitely no mobile phones. I promise you, as the group leader, if there are any emergencies or we need to contact you over any query or question, I promise that we will do so. Please do not send any mobile phones. It's a huge safeguarding risk. And actually, it's a really nice opportunity to allow the children to have a week of social media and to just enjoy being outdoors and spending the last sort of hurrah with their year group before they move on to secondary school.
Can I just add one more thing? There is, I'm sure it's somewhere, no money. They don't need any money at all. And I would hate for it to go missing. And I don't want to look after it either, because I'll lose it as well. And then you're just down a couple of pence. So don't bring any money either, please.
So kit list, please be aware that, right, so in terms of luggage, whatever luggage the children bring, they need to be able to carry it themselves. Now, when we arrive, we get dropped off probably about 25 to 30 meters away from our campsite. However, it is a gravel drive, so wheels they can be used, but it's not the easiest. We're not being dropped off on smooth ground. So just to ensure that we don't over pack them with things, because they are going to have to carry it themselves. So I've given you kind of a general guide in terms of a medium-sized suitcase. I'm not going to be there with a meter ruler stick measuring it as we go onto the coach, but it's just to bear in mind. Again, I know I keep saying it, a thick sleeping bag and pillow is really important. Then you've got a selection of different clothing. 2 towels as well is really important. One which stays on the campsite and is used for showering, which stays clean, and then the other towel will be taken on their water activities. And this won't be dry by the time they have their shower in the evening. So it'd be nice to come back and have a proper nice warm shower with a dry towel. So 2 towels. They need 2 pairs of trainers, one for being in the sea and having wet activities and one for dry activities. They cannot wear Crocs, they cannot wear surf shoes, they have to be trainers. So please bear that in mind. A refillable water bottle is used every day, and obviously they're going to need a rucksack to carry their bits, and not a small rucksack. In their rucksack on a day-to-day, they are going to need their water bottle, their lunch, their sun cream, their sun hat. They're going to need a towel more often than not. They may want to take, you know, maybe put like a jacket in there, or a woolly hat, or anything else, anything they might need for the day, they're going to need to put in that rucksack. So it needs to be of a reasonable size to make sure they can fit it all in. Sun cream I've put there, which is a big one. Sunglasses if they want them, although they won't really wear them apart from in the evenings. Goggles, again, they don't go underwater, but if your child is really sort of nervous in terms of getting water in their eyes, it might be an idea to pop it in there. A small torch, I'd say, is really important, especially if they're getting up in the middle of the night with a friend or with an adult. You know, they can come and knock on our door and we can escort them to the portaloos. But again, a torch, just in case they're in their tent and they're looking around, because they're not lit. And any medicine, however big, small, whether it's a travel sickness tablet, a paracetamol, even a cough sweet, we would like that to be checked in with us. So on the Monday morning, we will have the main hall set up a bit like an airport check-in, and depending on who your child's group leader is, you will go over to them. They will ask you the key questions in terms of making sure your child has what they need. And also they will check in all medicine, and we will keep that medicine on us. We need that medicine to be in a named sandwich bag or something like that, with the dosage really clear and preferably the box named, and we will make sure that is given, and we will make a record of that on camp. And also it will always be countersigned. There'll be 2 adults that give out the medicine. So please, yeah, that's really important. We want, you know, they are your pride and joy, and but they are our responsibility for that week, and we want to make sure that we, you know, look after them to the highest of expectations and levels. And then in terms of mobile phones, it's in big red writing. Yeah, like I said earlier, no mobile phones. There's no point in bringing jewelry. There's no point in having smart watches when you're trying to get, I won't be taking mine, when you're trying to get a wetsuit on and you're trying to get it over a watch. You know, there's many other challenges with getting a wetsuit on. You don't need to be added extra of a an electronic watch. So,
and kids get really upset if they bring something special and they'll lose it in a tent. They get really upset.
So anything that's bought is at the, obviously, the risk of being lost or broken, and that will be the responsibility of the family that choose to pack it. Further information, so we leave at 9 AM on Monday promptly, because we obviously have to get down there for our afternoon activity. So please make sure we are at school by at least 22, or it's going to end in 10 minutes, at least 22. Arrive back on Friday at 4 PM, but I will keep you updated with traffic and whatnot. Medicine, I'm going extra quick because it's going to finish in 10 minutes. Medicine is to be checked into school staff at the check-in points in the main hall. All contact will be through school, and I will be taking the school mobile phone. And we will be doing updates. We haven't chosen what channel we're going to do the updates, whether we make, you know, whether it's be on Facebook or whether it be through the school email, but we do a daily update with some photographs as well, so you can see what they're up to. And just that all the online forms have been completed, which I am pleased to say have been. So high five, woo, they're done. And that is all from me. Any questions? Woo, and breathe.
I don't think we've got any questions. If anyone wants to unmute themselves, they can, or they can write in the chat. That's absolutely fine. Or if you have a question that is sort of just relevant to your child, please do feel free to come and find us in school tomorrow and next week, or the first week back, and we're happy to answer anything at all. We can't wait. I haven't packed yet, but I'm getting excited.
Oh, I've started a list, but I'm a lover of lists, being a Virgo star sign.
Okay, lovely. Got some thank yous in the chat.
Oh, it is exciting.
If there's no questions, that's fine. Thank you all for attending. Like we said, if any further questions, just come and find us in school. But thank you so much. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but
that's fine. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening, and we'll see you
everybody
tomorrow next week.
Thank you. Bye. Yeah, I'm very.
You can end it.